Welcome to G-Ball Vision. Today we have a new knife to check out coming in from Trivisa. Big thank you to them for sending this in. The knife is available and I will have it linked down below in the description. While we're diving in, let us know what you're carrying in your pockets today down in the comments. So, Trivisa, very solid company, and I took the liberty of taking it out of the box. But this is going to be called the Hornet. And if you're not familiar with Trivisa, they offer a big value when it comes to pocket knives, and we're going to get to that here in a moment. We are looking at 14C 28N steel, and this has a PVD coated blade, more of a drop point than anything. You kind of have this flat area that rolls into a nice short top swedge there, gives it a nice pokey look. Great sharpening choil there right off the bat. That looks really good. Quite a bit of sharpening life left in this knife right here, and we're looking at dual thumb studs for the deployment there. The knife is perfectly centered up. That is something we want to look for. If you're new to the game, you'll have to let us know down in the comments, and we will welcome you properly. We do have aluminum scales here with steel liners, and there are several different variations of this knife available. I saw a couple at least. We do have some inlays here and a deep carry clip that's recessed into the inlay, and it does have the option for lefty carry, which is very nice. We have a sterile blade, and the logo for Trivisa is blacked out in the pivot there. I think that looks really good. I wish more companies would start doing that, actually. And then we have a black anodized aluminum backspacer there, about half length. And that is some sort of G10 there. It's got this really nice texture on it. And I believe a couple different aluminums, and they might even have a micarta version as well. I could have swore, don't scold me if they don't, but I could have swore they had a micarta version as well. We do have internal milling in there with those steel liners, and this is going to be a pretty good size. Let's get an actual measurement on this knife here, and we are looking at, we'll give it 7 7/8 of total length. Just shy of 3.5 inches of cutting edge. We'll call it 3 3/8, and then about 3.5 inches of total blade. We'll put up a couple of comparisons. We got the drop bear up top and the raccoon from Vosti down here on the bottom. And if I actually had this where it's supposed to be, you'll see it's pretty close to that raccoon size, just a touch larger. And we have the full-size Militaw up top with the full-size bug out down there on the bottom. Definitely more in line with the Militaw, and it might even have just a little bit more blade than the Militaw does. How about a couple of really popular newer knives? We have the Vosti Corgi here and the Mini Mystic from Kaiser. And you'll see it's a little bit larger than the Mini Mystic is and quite a bit larger than the Corgi. And you'll have to let me know, do you want to start seeing the thickness of the handle and blade stock and stuff like that in the unboxing as well as everything else we check? I love hearing from you guys on that stuff. It keeps everything crisp and clean throughout the video. So the more that we can perfect this, the better you guys will be. You'll see this is going to carry nice and deep in the pocket here. Won't have much poking out there at all. Very clean looking pocket clip, and that texturing combined with the retention there, that is going to be very nice in and out of the pocket, but going to give you quite a bit of grip in there as well. I do like this pocket clip. Not a lot going on with it, but that's okay. We don't need a flashy pocket clip in this case. We are looking at a $60, $65 knife, and for that price, it's a pretty good package when it comes to the materials. Now, one place this is going to, it's a heavier knife. It looks thick, and it feels thicker, but that's not a bad thing for me personally. I I tend to like knives similar to this. Kind of reminds me of the CMB Predator in essence. It's a completely different design, but that's kind of what this knife reminds me of. As far as the weight goes, I don't know what to say. It feels like, is it up at 5? No, it can't be. 4.7. We're sticking with it. Wow, it is. 5.1. So it's a heftier bugger. And I have to think that's intentional from Trivisa just to give a more robust feeling knife in hand. The balance is a little butt heavy there. Kind of, I mean, it's right behind the pivot there. A little lower than typical. I wonder why they went, I don't mind that at all. Some people will certainly complain about it, no question. I don't mind the heft at all, but it makes me wonder, is that it has to be intentional because they have, other lightweight knives. So they must be kind of trying to blend, a heftier knife with a mid-size type of range, because we often see this size, but they are very lightweight. I'm trying to think. I believe I've only ever handled one other crossbar lock from Trivisa, and it must have been their first one. I've been buying and checking out Trivisas for a couple of years since they became a company, and Trivisa is a company that produces their own knives. They have their own designs, and they produce their own knives. They're not having these OEM by someone else. From everything that they have told me, they make their own knives in-house, and they have their own designs, which I don't mind that one bit. Especially when, for the last couple of years, check that tip, very nice. Especially when they're putting out the value that they do. I have to admit, and I wish I had the knife because it was a great, great knife. But it was a very basic knife, and that's okay. And some people would say this is a basic knife, but from where they were a couple years ago to how far they've come now, this is a great looking and feeling knife, great materials. Could they have lightened it up a little bit? That's up in the air. Some people like a little heftier knife like I do most of the time. Lightweight knives have their place, but I more often than not prefer, something more like this here. As far as the springs go in there, they're nice. Very good crossbar lock action. We won't know if those are adjustable in there or not. If you do know, let us know down in the comments. We have to take it apart to check that. I know you can see it sometimes, but it's going to be hard to tell on this model. But if you can't adjust it, I would say this is a good mid-range spring strength, right? It's not too overly strong, but it's certainly not too light at all. Feels good. And then you have the ball bearings in there, which is going to make this buttery, buttery smooth on the close. Feels good in the hand. We're going to go ahead and check this lock. We already checked centering, and it looks good. And the top of this is softened down, almost, crowned, which that's a nice touch on a $65 knife. Very nice touch. We'll go ahead and check the lock here and make sure this thing is going to stay locked up. We have a coated blade, and we have coated liners and a coated lock. So be interesting to see what we have here. Crossbar locks, in my experience and testing, seem to be very good, especially just a casual EDC knife. We're not talking batoning it through a log or anything like that, but for a casual EDC to even a little bit harder use, I think a crossbar lock is going to be just fine. And even though this one is completely coated, we're not going to have an issue out of this thing here at all. Now, I haven't handled every Trivisa that has come out over the last couple of years, but I have tried out quite a few, and 90% of them I have bought myself. Just recently, I've started dealing with Trivisa a little bit, but I had no problem buying them over the last couple of years. Great price point, great materials. I have to say, this is definitely, I'm going to have to look at what I have and what I have had from them. I have most of the ones, and maybe we'll do a group video of some Trivisas. You'll have to let me know if that's something that would be interesting to you to see. But this might be top 3, top 2 type Trivisa knife here, at least down in the budget range. I know they've started to experiment with more expensive knives, over $100. But in regards to what they have under, say, $75, this might be one of the best, if not the best designs they have put out. Some people won't like the fact there's no flipper or front flipper, but I think it's, they played it safe, and I think it was a successful way to go. The thumb studs feel good, and you don't have a front or rear flipper that's going to feel secondary in a sense, because that's a lot of times what happens. The studs will feel great, but the flipper just don't do it, right? But in this case, we don't have to worry about a flipper for ergos, and as a secondary means of deployment, a flipper tab with studs on a crossbar lock, it just a lot of times doesn't go well, and I would say probably better to stay away from it unless you have the time to tune the knife and properly do that. It can be done, but there's a lot more that goes into it, I believe. You'll have to let me know. Do you have any experience with Trivisa's knives? And if you do, let us know which ones you have found to be a great EDC knife. And if you haven't, let me know what you think of this knife, or just let us know what you're carrying in your pockets. I love hearing from you either way. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. That helps push the video out there to more people. And if you're new to the channel here, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell. I release daily videos just like this, and that'll let you know anytime I release new content. I'll put a couple of new videos up on your screen. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thank you all again for watching. I will catch you on the next one.